employee, right? Concentrated, on the work. So otherwise, they don't, they feel like exhausted, right? Feel lazy, in the hot weather. I think maybe you can talk to school if whether they can install AC, right, in our classroom, right? Yeah, បើសិនជាមានម៉ាស៊ីនត្រជាក់នៅក្នុងថ្នាក់រៀនមិនដឹងជាល្អយ៉ាងណា right? Do you agree with that?
Like I only ask for clean toilet, bathroom, teacher.
Oh yes, yeah. We just need to ask, for clean my toilet. Yeah, I don't know, right? How a school, deal with that, right? Something about hygiene, right? Yeah, something about the way that we can keep our environment conducive to learning, right, and to studying. Okay, so for true, right, productivity, right, is strongly associated with cold, with weather, right, weather. So normally in cold weather we tend to be more productive, so we can concentrate on our work, our study, right? So more than in the hot weather. So why? Because in the hot weather you lost energy, right? យើងបែកញើសណាបែកញើសយើងបាត់បង់អាធម្មពលណាបែបធម្មពលអញ្ចឹងរាងកាយមនុស្សគឺមិនអាចទ្រទ្រង់បានណាបានទ្រទ្រង់បានអញ្ចឹងត្រូវការផឹកទឹកត្រូវការញ៉ាំដើម្បីឲ្យមាន recharge your energy នៅក្នុង cold weather you can store your energy I think for a longer periods of time, right? Yeah, therefore people tend to be more productive. Yeah, for sure, right? For sure. So weather is also associated with your productivity, right? Yeah. ខ្ញុំនិយាយរឿងហ្នឹងជាមួយនឹងសាលាខាង department អញ្ចឹងណាto know if they really want to install AC in the classroom or not, right? ខាងសាលាក៏គឺចង់ install ដែរណាខាងសាលាព្រោះគាត់គ្រូដែរគាត់ចង់ install គាត់ចង់អីចឹងទៅប៉ុន្តែដោយសារតែយើងចង់ balance រវាង IFL ជាមួយនឹង main campus at RUPP and the second campus I think near Pojintong International Airport គឺចង់ balance ហើយបើសិនជា install តែ AC តែមួយមុខទេ IFL ហើយតែមួយមុខទេចឹងវាអាច unfair for other student at the other campus យើងមាន STEM campus មួយគេកំពុងធ្វើថ្មីណាអាគារថ្មីនោះគឺគេ install AC the argument is that they in the classroom they have some material something to experiment, right? For something about natural science. So I think without AC it is impossible for them to to do research, right? I think in the lab, right? In the lab អញ្ចឹងគាត់ត្រូវតែមាន AC ណាហើយចំណែកឯថ្នាក់រៀនទូទៅគឺអត់មាន AC ទេគឺពឹងទៅលើកង្ហារ electricity fan ណា so it generates some air. Imagine like in the hot weather, right? You can see the heat wave, right? វាចរន្តក្តៅ yeah យ៉ាងខ្យល់ចេញពីកង្ហារពីជាងក្តៅណាក្តៅ yeah particularly in March, April and May, right? Early May ក្តៅមែនតើណាក្តៅមែនតើអញ្ចឹងyou can imagine, right? if you were studying now in a classroom, how did you feel, right? I think very hot, right? Very hot ក្តៅមែនតើណា top នៅក្នុងថ្នាក់ right? អញ្ចឹងមកអីទេខ្ញុំគិតថាអាចនឹងដាក់ម៉ាស៊ីនត្រជាក់ក្នុងពេលវេលាណាមួយណា but not now, right? But not now. I think maybe in the future, right? In the future. Okay, so yeah, I think Khmer New Year, right? It's coming soon. Yeah, it's approaching soon. Do you have any plan to do or to go on Khmer New Year, everyone?
Sure, we cannot go.
We cannot go out.
We need to comply to the regulation, sir.
Yeah, for sure, right? For sure. So we have to obey, right? The order. We have to obey the rule, right? The rule. So now, the border, between provinces has been restricted, right? Has been locked down, and people cannot mobilize, right, from one place to the others. and yeah, particularly I think for the people right, in Phnom Penh city and in Gondar, right, Gondar province. So these two are the main center of infection, right? Infection. So they try to prevent people right from moving, yeah, from Phnom Penh city, from Gondar province to the other provinces, right? Provinces. And today, even in Udon Minjai, I think Udon Minjai or Ratnagiri, right? They already issue some they issue some they circulate the announcement, right, that they implement the curfew, right. So bây giờខេត្តដែលនៅឆ្ងាយណាឆ្ងាយឥឡូវគាត់មាន curfew right អញ្ចឹងពីម៉ោង 8 ដល់ម៉ោង 5 ព្រឹកដូចគ្នាដូចនៅក្នុងទីក្រុងភ្នំពេញអញ្ចឹងណាអញ្ចឹងមើលទៅគឺតាមតំបន់ណាតាមតំបន់តាមរដ្ឋបាលនៃតាមខេត្តក្រុងនីមួយៗណាគឺគេមានចលនាការគេមានវិធានការដើម្បីការពារ COVID-19. Yesterday our Prime Minister also said that the patient will be treated at home, right? If they don't have any severe condition, they can be treated at home. So they prepare any medical staff and medical supply to treat people, right, the patient, right, COVID patient at home, right, home. Yeah, because we have no enough hospital, we have no enough clinic for the COVID patient, right. So meaning that the case increase day by day, and just today there are more than 100 cases, and most of them are in Phnom Penh city, right. I think more than around 103 right cases in Phnom Penh, right. អញ្ចឹងនៅក្នុងភ្នំពេញគឺយើងឃើញវាច្រើនណាស់ច្រើនមែនតើហើយបច្ចុប្បន្នគឺគេ focus ទៅលើផ្សារអូស័យណាអូស័យ You can imagine how many sellers at Orusai market, the security guards, and also the employee, right, the worker, right, inside the markets. How many buyers get in and get out, right, from the Orusai market. There are so many people, right? There are so many people. Even the people surrounding the Orusai market has been they put more attention, right, to the COVID-19 infection, right. You can go around the Orusai market, you can see like people even close the shop, right. They even close the restaurant to prevent the COVID-19, right. អញ្ចឹងអ្នកនៅតាមផ្សារពីច្រើនគឺគេមានជីវភាពគេរៀងគ្រាន់បើអញ្ចឹងគេបិទក្នុងពេលវេលាណាមួយអញ្ចឹងដើម្បីការពារខ្លួនគេការពារគ្រួសារគេអញ្ចឹងទៅណាគេអាច survive ក្នុងរយៈពេលណាមួយចំណែកឯអាជីវករខ្លះគឺគាត់ត្រូវការធ្វើការណាធ្វើការ so they need to find the alternative way how to sell the products to the buyer, right, the buyers. I think some even go online, right. They have marketing, online marketing, right. Yes, through on the social media, right. Yeah, on Facebook and on the other platform, right. Platform. Yeah, they cannot just now they are restricted, right, from selling the product at the market, right. So they have to find the other alternative, right, to sell a product to the market, right. អញ្ចឹងខេត្តតាមភូមិសង្កាត់ក៏តាមភូមិឃុំមួយចំនួនគឺយើងឃើញថាមានការកើនឡើងច្រើនណាកើនឡើងច្រើនយ៉ាថ្ងៃនេះគឺយើងឃើញ yeah my observation, right, is that now to garment industries, yeah, garment factories, yeah, too, right, become the center of infection, right. ហើយទីជាមជ្ឈមណ្ឌលការចម្លងមកដល់អញ្ចឹងមានរោងចក្រមួយគឺរោងចក្រកាត់ដេរគាត់តែឆ្លងមួយថ្ងៃគឺខ្ទង់ប្រហែលជា30-40ជាងណាគឺច្រើនណាច្រើនមើលទៅតាម lead ឈ្មោះ the identity, right, of the patient, right, of COVID-19, right. You can see, right, so many people, right. អញ្ចឹងឥឡូវចាប់តាមចូលទៅក្នុងរោងចក្រណារោងចក្រអានឹងរោងចក្រជាទូទៅគឺជាបណ្ដុំនៃមនុស្ស a lot of worker, right, factory workers, they stay together, they work together, they eat together, right. អញ្ចឹងយើងភ័យថាតើវាអាច go beyond that, right. វាអាចផ្ទុះនៅក្នុងកម្រិតណាមួយយើងមិនដឹងណាបណ្ដុំមនុស្សវាច្រើនណាច្រើនចាំមករៀបរាប់តាមបាយយើងគឺមានកម្រង provide the a vaccine right for garment factory workers ឲ្យពួកឲ្យបងប្អូនកម្មករហើយកម្មការិនីណានៅតាមរោងចក្រជាដើមណាគឺ very important very important to manage the situation right to stabilize a COVID situation to flatten right the curve of COVID-19 right infection in Cambodia right this is what we can do right what we can do. And how about you, right? What do you want to do? Yeah, what will you do on Khmer New Year? You will spend your time reading the books, or you will spend your time doing anything else?
For me, play card at home, cha.
Really? With your
Yes, sir.
family or with other people?
With my family.
Sir, no police, sir.
Miron, call me to Miron. I want to earn the money.
ប្រយ័ត្នជុំគ្នាគេចាប់ណាតែជុំគ្នាគេចាប់ខ្ញុំឃើញប្រហែលករណីក្នុង Facebook ណាលេងគេចាប់ណាគេចាប់
ប្រយ័ត្នប៉ូលីស
គេចាប់អាន
ស្លាប់អីខ្ញុំមានខ្សែ
Sir, I don't go anywhere, sir, because my friend got infected, sir, today.
Really?
Yes, sir.
So you are now being quarantined,
Near my
right?
home, sir. No, not me, sir.
Not you,
my
right?
friend, 100 meters from my home, sir. He got infected, sir, because I think he bought something from the road, maybe.
But did you contact him? I think approach your friends in the last few days.
Simple. But he
Okay,
got
be
infected.
careful, right?
Yes, sir.
ឥឡូវមើលឃើញណា COVID-19 ណា new strain of COVID-19 ហើយគឺវាខ្លាំងមែនតើយើងមើលទៅតែប្រហែលខែយើងគិតទៅតែពីខែថ្ងៃ20ខែ2ណា20 February until now ហើយយើងគិតថាមួយខែជាងចុះយើងឃើញលឿនមែនតើប្រហែលករណី I think over 1000 right over 1000 and a lot of people die right of COVID-19 and until now today there has been 24 death cases in Cambodia right 24ករណីដែលជាករណីស្លាប់ដោយសារ COVID-19 in Cambodia and there will be many more right many more according to the data of the Khmer Soviet hospital right មន្ទីរពេទ្យខ្មែរសូវៀតហ្នឹងគឺ5នាក់គឺគាត់ធ្ងន់ធ្ងរ 5% នៃអ្នកជំងឺចូលក្នុងមន្ទីរពេទ្យគឺ very very severe ហើយតែចូលក្នុង ICU ហ្មងហើយអញ្ចឹង15% ទេគឺ they got severe condition ហើយត្រូវការ hospitalize ហ្មងហើយហើយនឹងប្រហែលជា 80% ទៀតគឺ under investigation ជាបានន័យថាវាអត់ធ្ងន់ធ្ងរទេណា under investigation អញ្ចឹង imagine ហើយបើសិនជាមាន100នាក់5នាក់គឺចូលក្នុង ICU យើង100នាក់យើងមើលទៅ5នាក់ចូល ICU ហើយដល់5នាក់ទៀតគឺកំពុងតែធ្ងន់ធ្ងរណាហើយនឹង80នាក់ទៀតគឺកំពុងតែទទួលការឃ្លាំមើលໄວពីមន្ទីរពេទ្យចា 80% ដែលយើងគិតហ្នឹងគឺប្រកបហើយគឺអ្នកដែលគាត់នៅក្នុងចំណោមនៅក្មេងហើយនឹងគ្មាន precondition អីតាក់ទងជាមួយទឹកនោមផ្អែមឬក៏តាក់ទងជាមួយនឹងជំងឺសួតឬក៏ជំងឺកលៀនឬក៏តាក់ទងជាមួយនឹងជំងឺរ៉ាំរ៉ៃមួយចំនួនណា Yeah, therefore they are in I think quite good condition right even they are infected by COVID-19 right ចាយើងមើលទៅអា 20% ហើយ 20% 15យើងមក 5% ហើយគឺជាមុខសញ្ញានៃការ they need to be treated right immediately right immediately អញ្ចឹងអត្រាមរណៈនៃជំងឺ COVID-19 យើងមើលមិនឃើញហើយអញ្ចឹងក្នុងរយៈពេលដ៏ខ្លីបំផុតហើយ I think only less than 2 months រហូតដល់24ករណីហើយដែលជាករណីស្លាប់ដោយសារតែ COVID-19 ហើយ You can imagine how severe right how worse the situation is right in Cambodia right Cambodia now Yeah so better ស្ថានទូតមួយចំនួនគឺគេលែងចេញឲ្យvisa right ដើម្បីទៅលេងឬក៏ទៅរៀនក៏ទៅអីចឹង student visa ឬក៏ជា tourist visa right គេលែងចេញឲ្យហ្មងណាដោយសារតែកម្ពុជាបច្ចុប្បន្នកំពុងតែប្រយុទ្ធប្រឆាំងមិនមែនជាមួយនឹង old virus old COVID-19 right យើងកំពុងតែប្រយុទ្ធប្រឆាំងជាមួយនឹង new strain of coronavirus right yeah that point right that point អូខេចុះត្រឡប់មកវិញគឺយ៉ាប្រកបហើយគឺយ៉ាចូលឆ្នាំយើងមានពេលវេលាច្រើនណាយ៉ាអាច play card ហើយ but I can imagine how you guys play card right maybe play card with the mask on right your face mask on right on your face probably Yeah ជាទូទៅគឺជា traditional មួយ right very very happy right even on Chinese New Year right so back to I think 15 years ago right ថាជា15ទៅ20ឆ្នាំមុន yeah ខ្ញុំក៏លេងរបាយហ្នឹងហើយជាលក្ខណៈជា3សន្លឹកអញ្ចឹងទៅហើយ I think very happy right with our sibling ហើយនិយាយតាក់ទងមួយគ្រួសាររបស់យើងតាក់ទងមួយបងប្អូនរបស់យើងហើយហើយពេលខ្លះគឺមានអ្នក your neighbors that also come right and play card right with us right but I think now you but for now you need to limit right the number of visitor right I think in your family alone is enough right yeah I think to enjoy playing card right okay គ្នាយើងធ្វើអីទៀតណានៅថ្ងៃចូលឆ្នាំ
review your lesson ចា
very good right very good yeah bonus yeah 5% right
10 ចា10ចា
okay just kidding right okay yeah very good right if you pay more you take more time to review right for the lesson or take more time to read the articles that's good right that's very good okay ធ្វើទៀតណាធ្វើទៀត
លេងបើយើងអត់គិតមើលមេរៀន
chơi cầm trước 5 ម៉ោង
okay don't play video game right ប្រហែលជាមាន play video game
ចា play picture game លេងចាក់ខ្លះខ្លង picture game
អូខេយ៉ាខ្លះខ្លះ picture game ហើយអូខេអញ្ចឹងក្នុងទីក្រុងភ្នំពេញរបស់យើងក៏គេបិទដែរណាតាក់ទងជាមួយនឹងរមណីយដ្ឋានតាក់ទងជាមួយនឹងវត្តភ្នំសង្ក្រាននេះគេបិទអស់ហើយណាតាក់ទងមួយការចោលឈូកលេងប៉ាត់ម្សៅលេងបាញ់ទឹកចោលទឹកអីហ្នឹងហើយ already banned it by the Phnom Penh municipality ហើយនៅថៃដូចគ្នាហើយគេបិទគេលុបចោលសង្ក្រានណាឆ្នាំហ្នឹងណាចាំហ្នឹងចាំមើលទៅទេវតាឆ្នាំហ្នឹងក៏គាត់ភ័យដែរតាក់ទងជាមួយនឹង COVID ណា COVID yeah អាហ្នឹងinteresting ហើយនៅក្នុងsocial media ហើយ they even capture the actress who will play the role as the angel right at this year អញ្ចឹងតារាសម្ដែងណាគាត់គាត់ចាក់វ៉ាក់សាំងណាដើម្បីការពារខ្លួនគាត់ណាអាហ្នឹងថ្ងៃទី14ហ្នឹងគាត់នឹងតែងខ្លួនជាទេវតាហើយទេវតាឆ្នាំថ្មីហ្នឹងដើម្បីចោះមកប្រព្រំហើយប្រជាជនកម្ពុជាហើយแล้วក៏ប្រជាជននៅលើសកលលោកគាត់គិតផុតពី COVID-19 ហើយ but before she can do that right she had to receive the vaccination right she need to be vaccinatedអូខេឥឡូវទេវតាក៏ខ្លាចដែរណាខ្លាច COVID-19 ហើយចុះទម្រាំតែយើងជាមនុស្សធម្មតាក៏យើង need to pay more attention right to stay safe stay vigilant right and stay healthy right at home right at home anyway before we start our presentation you have anything else to share regarding the world politics any politics right? any news about international politics so we can analyze further right ចំណុចទៀតដែលយើងចង់ share ហ្នឹងតាក់ទងជាមួយរឿងនយោបាយណានៅក្នុងតំបន់អាស៊ីអាគ្នេយ៍យើងគឺភាគច្រើនគេផ្ដោតទៅលើតំបន់ភូមិណាភូមិច្រើននៅបច្ចុប្បន្ននេះគឺឃើញថាមានចរន្តមួយទៀតណាចរន្តគឺលក្ខណៈជាចរន្តនយោបាយវិញណាជា ambassador ឬក៏ជា politician ហើយ politician ជាគាត់ចាប់ដើមបញ្ចេញយោបល់ណានិយាយថាជា idea they even write an article on and publish on online on website and the article circulated everywhere right on social media ហើយនឹងអ្នកដែលដើរតួសំខាន់ជាងគេគឺពីច្រើនគឺមកពីSingapore right Singapore also play very important role even Indonesia there's some politicians some diplomat they also trying to suggest that ASEAN had to do something right you know, to prevent, you know, the regime, right? Yeah, junta regime from killing its own people, right? I think in the last few weeks, the number of deaths, right, is around 100, right? But currently, I think more than 500 people die, right? Die. It's just in only a couple of weeks. ចឹងគិតទៅគឺស្លាប់ច្រើនមែនទែនណា Yeah គឺជាចរន្តមនុស្សមួយគឺ new generation មួយហើយដើម្បីទប់ទល់ជាមួយនឹងរបបផ្ដាច់ការរបបយោធានិយមនៅក្នុងប្រទេសភូមាណាទប់ភូមាអញ្ចឹងឥឡូវវា couple ជាមួយនឹងsocial media ហើយដែលធ្វើឲ្យចរន្តហ្នឹងវាកាន់តែលឿន you know and everyone can see like what you know the military right in Myanmar right is doing so they're killing people right they are arresting people they're torturing people they're punishing people right yet that you know a kind of you know action that cannot be tolerated you know by the international community right អូខេមានទៀតណាមានគេកាត់ឡើងនៅក្នុងសហគមន៍យើងណានៅក្នុង international politics anything else okay that's good suggestion from Hai Long right yeah Chai Long yeah if you buy something from outside we don't know where but if you happen to buy something from outside just you know keep in one place and spray alcohol right តែតើកលយើងបាញ់តិចណាកុំមុនពេលញ៉ាំណាព្រោះហ្នឹងវាអាចទុំលើចំណីអាហារក្នុងរយៈពេលណាមួយ yeah some people say even you know more than 3 days yeah don't know right but be careful right be careful okay Odom you want to say something
Oh sure like I want to say like for now I keep up with the US news regarding the Biden infrastructure plan
yeah because you know US is ranked number 13 right behind the other countries in terms of you know infrastructure you know development right and Udom can you explain more
yeah sure the plan is to improve the infrastructure and build more road but he also divert some money to elder people and like $100 billion for job training for other people as well but the plan spend a lot of money like $2 trillion
yeah I think the budget right is so big right so big I think that's good right that's good to you know create more jobs for American people right នៅក្នុងវិបត្តិ COVID ហ្នឹងគឺប្រកាសហើយគឺអ្នកខ្លះក៏បាត់ការងារច្រើនមែនទែន a lot of American you know become homeless they depend on some you know security fund you know from the government right they cannot survive by themselves so a lot of people right a lot of business you know corrupt at the time COVID-19 right ក្រុមហ៊ុនធំៗជាទូទៅគឺមកចូលជើងបានទេណាដូចជាក្រុមហ៊ុនមួយចំនួនដូចជាលក្ខណៈជា product right I think brand name products some you know you know some fast food like company right so on so forth right I think they already corrupt right in US so I think the best way to recover to create you know more jobs for American people right is to improve the infrastructure right infrastructure I think ការតាមព្រមបានដល់12ណាទី1គឺគេអាចចំណាយលុយហ្នឹងដើម្បី improve you know infrastructure in US yeah they are conducive to trade and business right ទី2គឺ create more job for American people right American people yeah this is you know why you know China focus on you know connectivity right infrastructure connectivity you know not only in China but also outside China right according to you know one belt one road or Belt and Road Initiative យើងមើលទៅគឺសម្បទានលុយដែលចិនគឺគាត់ដាក់ឲ្យនៅក្នុងប្រទេសកំពុងអភិវឌ្ឍមួយចំនួនហើយទៅតាមអា one belt one road ហ្នឹងផ្លូវសូនហ្នឹងគឺជាទូទៅគឺក្រុមហ៊ុនចិនដែលគាត់ធ្វើនោះគឺគាត់យក you know ពលករពីចិនមកធ្វើហ្មង even you know អ្នកព្រីយន្តហោះថ្មីយើងណានៅខេត្តតាកែវជាមួយខេត្តកណ្ដាលហ្នឹងយើងមើលសុទ្ធតែពួកជាពលករចិនទាំងអស់ណាជា Chinese you know construction worker right so many you know Chinese, you know, in the construction side, right? Construction side. So they this is the way, right? They can, you know, boost, you know, Chinese, you know, Chinese, you know, economy, right? Economy. Chứ cóឆ្លាតហើយទីមួយគឺលុយសម្បទានណាយើងសម្បទានក៏លុយដែលយើងខ្ចីរដ្ឋាភិបាលយើងហើយនៅក្នុងកំណត់ you know interest ណាមួយណាការប្រាក់ណាមួយអញ្ចឹងទៅការប្រាក់ទាបឬក៏you know សម្បទាននៅសំណងជាដើមហើយហើយទីពីរនោះគឺគាត់អាចយក material you know from China and you know to build right the road or to build the building right in Cambodia right នៅក្នុងប្រទេសកម្ពុជាទៅទៀតណាចឹង material ដែលគេផលិតចឹងវាជួយចរន្តសេដ្ឋកិច្ចក្នុងប្រទេសចិនណាហើយ material ដឹកមកធ្វើនៅស្រុកកម្ពុជាយើងហ្នឹងគឺអាកិច្ចពន្ធទានណាដោយសារតែវាជា under you know the framework right cooperation framework under project right between you know China and Cambodia right ហើយមួយទៀតគាត់យកពលករច្រើនហើយពីប្រទេសចិនមកធ្វើទៀតបុកមួយពលករក្នុងស្រុកណាក្នុងស្រុក you can see right there's so many benefits you know for Chinese right yeah for China yeah therefore you know how important right I think infrastructure you know connectivity right you know for China right to you know promote you know its own economy and also create a job you know for Chinese people right I think maybe Joe Biden is you know is in the same direction right I think to you know inject more money right in the infrastructure sector and then create more job for American right for American and to trying to promote you know American economy right at the time of COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, yeah, I think 5 minutes, right? Yeah, for any sharing.
I think the first 2 years of Biden presidency, he will try to put a lot of law into action because his party control both houses. So after 2023, maybe the Republican take back the Senate or something, and he cannot get more laws done. Like Obama presidency, like the first 2 years, he can get the Obamacare done, but after that, he cannot do anything.
Yeah, for sure, right? So he need to take this opportunity, right? You know, to do something, right? Significant for American people, right? Just so that, you know, Joe Biden can, you know, be re-elected, right? For his second term, right? អញ្ចឹងយើងមិនដឹងថាគាត់ធ្វើដល់បានពេលណាដែរអាយុគាត់ច្រើនហើយមិនងាយទេណាមនុស្សអាយុប៉ុណ្ណឹងគឺ you know stand for your presidency right election អញ្ចឹងគាត់ទៅ4ឆ្នាំក្រោយទៅគាត់បែកជាងណាchứមិនធម្មតាទេណាមិនធម្មតាទេ and we don't know like how you know how long he can stay right in the office you know for probably less than 1 term or probably more than 2 term in more than 1 term right okay so I think yeah it's already 30 minutes I do not want to go further right so today we focus on the other topic right about East Asian regionalism and last week I think we talked a lot right we talked a lot about you know about theory right theories of regionalism so we focus on the theoretical debate right on you know European integration so you know in the past there are so many theory right you know discussing integrate you know as one and work together right and later on they focus on the functionalism yeah take a look at the function how you know institution you know work and how you know institution you know promote you know economy you know peace and stability right in European region European countries and later on you know the neo-functional list you know take place so trying to combine you know what trying to challenge you know the previous you know theories so neo-functionalism you know focus on spillover effect you know some country you know focus on low politic issue yeah low politic you know area and then on they go to high politic right they work on you know the economic you know social cultural sphere and then on they can build confidence and they can you know promote you know the same you know security policy they can you know have more, political dialogue, among, the member, right, of the organization. It's just like European Union, right, moving from, a very simple, community, right, of coal of steel and coal, until, the European Union, right, after the Cold War. ចឹងគាត់ move ពី low politics, right, area ដែលវា not really sensitive, right, ទៅ area ដែល sensitive, right, តែទៅមួយ politics និង security, right. So this is what we call a spillover effect, according to the neo-functionalist, perspective, right. And many Western scholars even look at, other approaches, to the regional integration, right. So they take so many ways, to look at how, European, work together, how they integrate, as an organization, right, in Europe, right, in Europe. So some people even look at, inside out and outside in, right, way, right, the approach, to work, to know, right, how, they work, how they create, the organization, right, inside the Europe, right. Yeah, there also debate, between, a new and old regionalism, right, in the existing literature. So the old regionalism is a little bit, is, state-centric. It focuses on states as the important, actor, involving in international politics, right? So they side with, great power, they side with, superpower, right, to protect their security and to protect their economy, right, economic interests. Therefore, in the 1949, NATO, right, was created, to stop, right, the split of communism, right, in the world politics, and therefore, to counter, balance the NATO, right. Communist country also created Warsaw Pact, right, in the mid 1950s. So that, the old originalism, right, is about state-centric. It focuses on more on, security, right, issue, right. Yeah, to promote, peace and stability, right, in the anarchical, right, international system. The originalism is quite, multi-dimensional, yeah, quite multi-plural, right, multilateral, plural, right. I think dimension, right, yeah, multi-dimensional, right. So it's no longer focused on state. The state actor can also play a very important role in a new regionalism, right, to deal with, the new challenges, in the era, right, of globalization, right. Globalization become more complex, become more interdependent, right. Therefore, state and non-state actor can also play very important role, to deal with, international and regional issue, right, new challenges, regarding, the economy, trade, also, environmental protection, right. And currently, the COVID-19, right. So how, the state and non-state actor can deal with, COVID-19, right, in the world, right, the world. Many people, right, they criticize, the way that, scholars look, at the European integration, right. So they find, the way that they explain, right, the European style integration, as the Eurocentrism, right, Eurocentrism is, is biased, toward the European country. So how about ASEAN, right? How about Asia? How about, Africa? And how about the other regions? So we don't need, to follow, right, the European style integration, right? Yeah, because we have different history, we have different, culture, we have different tradition, we have different political system, right? Therefore, Eurocentric, view should be, should not be used, should not be applied, to Asia, right, or other region, right, other region. You can imagine, like, how ASEAN country, how Asian, how African, and how, Latin American countries, suffer from the colonization, right, in the past. So they suffer from, exploitation. They suffer from, power politics, among great power, right, in international politics. Yeah, just Cambodia, right, I think suffer a lot from, 90-year, right, colonization. And we also suffer from, civil war, right, great power competition, right, during the Cold War, and in the post-Cold period. So we suffer a lot, right? Suffer a lot. Yeah, therefore I think yeah, therefore, you know, according to some other scholar, we cannot apply, you know, the theory of the Western people, right, to, you know, the Asia, right, Asia, and the Asian country itself, you know, cannot, you know, follow, right, what, you know, a European country do, right, because they have different history, right, different way of working, right. I think how politics work, you know, in Asia. Yeah, therefore, you know, some other scholar like, you know, Amitabh Acharya, Barry Buzen, you know, they, you know, Johnston, right, trying to make the argument that, you know, there should be a unique, you know, framework, you know, to explain the Asian regionalism, right, the Asian institutionalism. So they trying to use different, you know, framework, different theories, including, you know, neo-realism, you know, to look at material factor, right? Yeah, neo-realism or structuralism is very important, you know, of theory, right? In IR, right? So, you know, sometimes, you know, when you got a lot of external, you know, factor, right? You are affected by the external environment. So you need to do something, right, to deal with or to respond, right, to external threat or external pressure, right? Pressure. It's just like, you know, ASEAN, right? You know, back to the 1967. So, you know, we learn, right, from the failure, right, of the Seattle, right? We also learn from the failure of the Mafilido, and we also learn from the failure of the, you know, other attempt, right, to create the institution in Southeast Asia. And finally, you know, the foreign minister of 5 countries, you know, gathered in Bangkok, they play golf, and finally they come up with a new initiative, and that the ASEAN, right, you know, on 8 August 1967, right, 67. So I think they have the other, you know, way, right, to explain the ASEAN, you know, integration, right, integration. Yeah, some people even use the term, use the institutionalism, right, or neo-institutionalism, or they use the constructivism, right, to explain, you know, how ASEAN work, you know, inside the association, inside the regionalism, right, to promote and to maximize their national interest, right, national interest. Okay, so this is what we discussed, right? I think last week, yeah, that's a lot of, you know, things, and we also look at, you know, the evolution, right, of you know, European, you know, system, right? I think state system, you know, since the 1648, right, after Westphalia Treaty, you know, to, you know, the collapse of Napoleon Emperor, right? Yeah, Napoleon War, right, in the 1815. He lost the war, right, in Waterloo, right, in Russia, and finally they came up with a new, you know, new system, right, that's a constant system, and they create a lot of, you know, norm, a lot of law, you know, to regulate the people, right, to regulate the state, you know, in Europe, right, and finally, you know, after the 1919, so the, you know, Treaty of Versailles is the important document, you know, to establish collective security arrangement. And therefore, you know, from 1919 to, you know, now, yeah, to the present time, yeah, it is called, you know, a collective security, right, arrangement, collective security system and governance, right, governance. So we have, you know, the League of Nations, you know, back to 2019-20. We also have the United Nations, right, in the 1945, the successor of the League of Nations, and that the Organization for Collective Security, right, to respond to the common aggressor, right, in the international system. Yeah, however, you know, United Nations does not work well, yeah, because of the power politic among P5, right? Yeah, 5 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council. Yeah, anyway, we can enjoy, you know, the variety of, you know, international system, right? The legal system, you know, under the umbrella of the United Nations, right? United Nations. So we have a lot of, there's a lot of, you know, covenant, treaties, convention, and many other legal documents that can, you know, protect, you know, the war, right? They can, you know, regulate and influence, you know, state behavior and activity, right, in the world politics. Okay, so this is how we discuss, right? We discuss, And European country, you know, they already work with one another, right? Since the 1648. chứគាត់មើលទៅប្រវត្តិសាស្ត្រគឺគាត់ធ្វើការជាមួយគ្នាហើយប្រកប state system តាំងពីសម័យ Vespertine ហើយរហូតមកដល់បច្ចុប្បន្នហ្នឹងហើយជាពិសេសគឺក្នុងសម័យសង្គ្រាមបញ្ជាក់ណាប្រកបជា committee ប្រកបជាអីហើយ until the end of Cold War จึง transform ទៅជា you know European Union the deepest regional integration in the world, right? So how can, you know, ASEAN and how can, you know, the other countries in the world, right, learn from European style of integration? So we need a lot of time, right? And we need to take a lot of effort, right, to do so, right? To do so. Yeah, even, you know, if we take a look at the ASEAN, right? ASEAN, so we are a little bit selfish. ASEAN care only about their national interests above the collective interests of the ASEAN, right? As ASEAN. ជាមើលទៅទាំងភូមាក៏ដោយទាំង you know កម្ពុជាក៏ដោយហើយទាំង Singapore ក៏ដោយទាំង Indonesia, you know, Malaysia, and Vietnam, right? Thailand, right? So they care about their national interests more than collective interests. So their national interest is number one, right? And collective interest is number two. Yet how can they become one, right? How can they become one if they have different, you know, a political system? They have different, you know, interests, you know, to some extent, right? They have some different interests. How can become one, right? How can they integrate to be, you know, the supranational organization like European Union, right? This is the dream, right? The dream for, you know, the ASEAN, right? For the ASEAN. But anyway, you know, ASEAN is doing a great job. So they try to institutionalize itself, you know, by promoting, you know, ASEAN community, right? Based on three important pillars: political security, economic, and social cultural, right? So they need to take a lot of time, right? You know, since 2008, right? And 2010, and again, right? 2015, and again, 2020, right? And 2025, and 2030, right? ចឹងអា apply មកគាត់គឺថាលើកទៅ right? លើកទៅចឹងអា community when we realize, right, as a community, that's still a question, right? Still a question. And we talk more, right, when we go to study, you know, about ASEAN, right? You know, in the later session, right? Okay, so yeah, I think we talk a lot, right, about things. We talk a lot about, you know, theory, right? Theories of regionalism, right? In the previous session, right? So today we focus on only the East Asian, right, regionalism. So group number 2, are you ready for your presentation?
Yes, like.
Okay, so you may share your slide with us now.
So can everyone see my screen now?
Yes, we can. And now you can start your presentation. And good luck.
Thanks, like. Hello everyone. We're here to present about the chapter 2, which is about East Asian regionalism. So without further ado, let's get into the contents. The contents of the presentation includes the introduction, ASEAN Plus 3 and Trilateral Summit, APEC, the Asia Pacific Community, and the enlarged East Asian EAS. So lastly, it is a conclusion. So let's get into the introductions of this presentation first. First, in introduction part, we will focus on 3 main points. The first one is the geography. Second one is the key actors. The third one is the brief regionalism scenario in EAS. So since it is what's mentioned in the book was quite long, and I want you guys to be able to digest the detail in a more specific way. We will just focus on the 3 main points in the introduction part. So here you see this map. We have you see the red part that I've mentioned, which refers to East Asia. So actually, East Asia is geographically it is in a smaller scale, but when it's come to East Asian regionalism, we will see a lot more actor than what I've shown on the map. So here, let's get into the key actors. So first one, we will want to talk about China. China plays a significant role, especially after the Asia financial crisis. China has proved the IMF as a scammer that and become a foothold that most of the country in Asia want to depend on. Due to its ability to strive its economic and helps most of the country in the region get out. But then China is also one of the actors that cause superpower rivalries in the region as well. Next one is the US. You guys may question that why would the US exist here, though the US is not one of the country in the region. The U.S. has been trying to prevent superpower regional hegemony, especially China and Japan. But since Japan is its alliance, then U.S. might just want to go for China at most, because the U.S. does not want other country or other hegemons to challenge its power. Not just its power, but also the power of its alliance in both militarily and economically. Next one is Japan. Japan has been trying to prevent or get rid of what we call Western imperialism, and Japan is also one of the key factor that or the key actor that contributed a lot when it comes to the regionalism in East Asia. Next, we also comes to South Korea. You guys may want to know why South Korea exists here. So South Korea is one of the country that geographically located here, and is one of the member of the trilateral summit with China and Japan, and has played quite an active role here as well. As for ASEAN, ASEAN is a collective actor that trying to that's trying to make itself better when it comes to the collective voice in the region. And when it comes to East Asia regionalism, we should not overlook ASEAN as well. So let's get into the brief regionalism scenarios in East Asia. As you guys may know, that most of the country in East Asia are tied with a cooperation, especially economic cooperation. But then we have come to a scenario here that we want to see, because since economy has become the major factor contributed in regionalism, most countries usually overlooked cultural and security factor, and it has become something we call secondary. But then we all question the effectiveness of regionalism once security matters or cultural factor arise, and that's why there's still a long way to go for East Asia regionalism. So to dive deeper into how it goes, I would like to give the floor to another presenter who will present about the next part.
So let's move to the ASEAN plus 3 and 3 trilateral summit. Next slide. The first part is how ASEAN plus 3 was created. When the end of the Cold War and after the collapse of Soviet Union, the security appeared to be a secondary concern. At that time, the North Korea had challenged the non-proliferation regime and posed a regional threat that it was assumed that all of another country in the region would join this threat. Even such as China was more passive, the ideology was dismissed as no longer relevant, while the regionalism as meant to accelerate economic growth. The challenge seen through the mid-1990s was how to interest China in type of multilateralism. The tension with China intensified in Japan as a result of China is testing of nuclear weapon and so of the force in Taiwan Strait in crisis of 1996. So back slide. In mid 1990, Asian states need to strengthen ASEAN to address emerging issues. With the rise of China and uncertain great power relations in the region, weak and marginal ASEAN did not seem adequate, and the state of region thought that they could exert much leverage separately. After that, ASEAN expanded to 10 members with addition of Laos, Myanmar, and Cambodia, and forming in large organization with China, Japan, and South Korea. With the Asian financial crisis, the ASEAN had increased reliance on that plastic state. So in early 2000, there has a study group had raised the hope for creation a real community. As some other observers made comparison to the European Union and other give voice to optimize generated by Asian academic effort. And the peak of Asian plus 3 came early before Sino-Japan ties again in 2003 to 2006. The equilibrium was pursued between the Japan, the past economic leader that had been struggling with stagnation for a decade, and with the China, the leader of economic growth rapidly, but with the income per capita still quite low. The main thrust of China in the issue for economy and reaching out to ASEAN as a group as well as individual country. Next slide. Next slide. Hello. Okay. So the part 2 is about the challenge and limitation of ASEAN plus 3. The limit of ASEAN plus 3 become apparent. The 10 ASEAN states had the 10 ASEAN states had difficult to join cause in the association, while the plus 3 states pledged to ASEAN for leadership. Like Indonesia, the only middle power is the reluctant leader, while its most internationalized member, Singapore, has to be careful to avoid giving often. About the security interests of ASEAN states did not coincide, especially in responding to the rise of China and the appeal to United States to play a balancing role. Each ASEAN state differ in how to respond, with China taking the place of Japan as the leading advocate of East Asian regionalism. So finally, there has a compromise was reached in 2005 by the East Asian state had expanded that have to provide more balance to China, and Asian states ASEAN Plus 3 state which would be giving the mandate to create East Asian community. That's all from me. Let's move to the presenter.
Okay, so thank you, Panyarat, for the floor. So as you already know that the ASEAN Plus 3, we have China, Japan, and South Korea. But first, I want to have your attention a bit on China and Japan history before the financial crisis happening in 2008. So before financial crisis in 2008, Japan during the Prime Minister Hatoyama was more idealistic about regionalism. And Japan and China, both of these countries were cooperative into regionalism on the path of economic cooperation. But then the financial crisis renewed the tension between the United States and China, and meanwhile, Japan and China relationship starting to crack when Japan went back to their alliance, the United States. And therefore, in this sense, Japan looked into regionalism not in economic cooperation, but Japan became more cautious about security because China already took the lead in East Asian regionalism. By China had shocked everyone with their booming economy. However, the relationship between these two countries started falling downward when Japan arrested China fishing boat that captured in East China Sea. And another factor is when China failed to condemn North Korea for its repeat raging war toward the South Korea. And next slide, please. Okay, so even China had embraced ASEAN Plus 3 by strengthening it as an economic organization and show their effort toward ASEAN. However, meanwhile, the world is concerned with the security after North Korea attack on South Korea on a Tonan naval vessel, and during that period, China was challenged to prove its commitment to maintain the world stability. And however, as a response from China in trilateral summit on May 2010, China not only showed their indifference to promote regionalism, but China also left a very bad impression during their quest for a joint response to the report that a submarine from North Korea had sunk South Korea naval vessel by response for self-restraint, non-interference, and focus on their economy instead. As a result, this incident led to the doubt that trilateralism was limited to economic cooperation only, rather than security concern as a whole. And after that, China's intentions start to appear clearer toward regionalism, and the world had shifted their view. They view China push for exclusive regionalism is when China declared that the South China Sea is belong to them, and this led to the backlash from many relevant countries in the region, especially Vietnam. Vietnam had performed its role actively towards South China Sea dispute, and meanwhile, this issue has been raised in ASEAN Regional Forum as a maritime security, and along with Vietnam, other related countries were joining together in resisting with the China pressure as well. And so that is all for my part. Let's move on to the next presenter, please.
So thank you, Bong for giving me the floor. So the next part is about APEC, the Asia Pacific Community, and the enlarged East Asia Summit. Next slide, please. So the economy of Asia has had their turning point in the world after the end of Cold War, and Asia regionalism is also one of those turning points. So ASEAN regionalism has been taking a milestone in expanding the economic integration, and those include the agreement on ASEAN Monetary Fund as well as the joint free trade agreement with ASEAN Plus 3, which are Japan, which are Japan, South Korea, and China. And the other point is about APEC, the Asia Pacific Economic Caucus. This economic caucus was created after the end of Cold War as well, and it consists of 4 continents on both sides of the Pacific, and APEC is considered as the inclusive regionalism. However, the idea of East Asia community was raised in 2009 by Australian Prime Minister, and as this idea has been raised, it led to the enlargement of East Asia Summit, in which the previous one include only 5 members, but now they want to include the United States and Russia in the summit, and this enlargement also lead to the advocacy for Asia Pacific community, or to be specific, the inclusive regionalism. Next slide, please. So I would like to explain what is inclusive and inclusive regionalism. So inclusive regionalism refers to the regionalism in which China played a dominant role, or like China is the main role and receive most of the benefit, while inclusive regionalism refer to the regionalism that is not exclusive of China. However, it also includes other states as well, and to be specific, the United States, because they want the United States to balance the power with China, and not want China to be the dominant power in economic of Asia. So the main focus of this point is that states want to create a community that is inclusive of China, or it can also be necessary mean that create a community without China as the dominant power, and this effort reflected in the idea that was raised by Australian Prime Minister that I have present just now, which he raised about the East Asia Summit as the facilitation to create Asia Pacific community. And the effort to create inclusive regionalism set some drawback due to the disagreement over how to remove the barrier between Washington and Tokyo over the agricultural product. So the effort to create East Asia Summit that include new member still continue to exist, and in 1988, Japan succeeded in its quest to form an East Asia Summit with India, Australia, and New Zealand in an effort to decrease China dominance in Asia regionalism. However, the idea of inclusive regionalism seems impossible for Asia because the Sino-Japanese relation has worsened the effort to create that inclusive regionalism, and moreover, ASEAN, which is playing as a central role, also fear of losing their centrality. So ASEAN did not embrace the Asia Pacific community, which make it seem impossible to create a community without China. Next slide, please. And the example, and there was also a trilateral summit that was hosted for the joint free trade agreement with ASEAN Plus 3 from their member perspective. And first of all, during the summit, China has stressed its positive. China has stressed how the free trade agreement has raised the positive contribution to prevent the rising protectionism in Asia, while South Korea raised about how education should be considered in order to build the new community. And last, Japan has expressed that trust should be the foundation to build the new community, and that U.S. security network is what has permitted regional economic development. And that is the end of my part. The next presenter will continue the next part. Thank you.
For the next part is moving to let's draw back to the Barack Obama trip in November to India, Indonesia, South Korea, and Japan. That was interpreted in China as a direct challenge to its plan for East Asian regionalism. In particularly, his stop at the APEC summit in Yokohama was the center of the boosting idea of the Trans-Pacific Strategic Economic Partnership, known as TPP, that was gaining a broad support, notably in South Asia as well, where the China had to concentrate its regional plan. This is alternative regionalism that attacked as the way to limit China's risk and restore the U.S. leadership, whereas the Japan had relied that China power was increasingly existed its own, and it needed the United States for the balance power because of the struggling with the agricultural protectionism, and that left uncertain that entry into TPP. But the East Asian community was losing ground to EAS and APEC exclusive of the TPP. The aware of the unstability nature of the ASEAN Plus 3 after trilateral summit had transferred the focus of the Plus 3 state and also the unsatisfactory scope of the EAS without the presence of the United States, which had finally signed the TAC with ASEAN South Asian states were amenable to recognize it in 2010. They agreed on proposal to expand the EAS into the group consisting of the ASEAN plus 8, as well as the presumable the strengthened regional authority, replacing to degree and also larger 27 member of the ALF gathering, and even the larger apex with the group of the centered on ASEAN and the great power that active in the region. The six-party talk in 2003 until 2008 had appealed to the offer that the answer of how the great power in North Asia would work together to address the security question. Moreover, in preparing the way to the joint-up agreement in February 2007, the United States had softened its position to allow for state-by-state in progress the denuclearization by North Korea and economics or the other incentive from the other 5 states, while China had hardened to its stand to support the UNSC sanction that could be lifted if progress was occurring in the negotiation. Even before Obama took office in 2009, did also pleading the substance the six party to process and even meet the North Korea leader Kim Jong-il, and it should be conducive to an agreement. Mr. Kim, he announced that the U.S. approach and also rejected the process and took the threatened post toward the regional security. Although the China agreed to the new securities from the UNSC sanction, but they also in response to the second North
Hello. Are you presenting your slide? I cannot hear you now. Hello, group number 2. I cannot hear you now. Are you presenting your slide now?
Let me try contacting the presenter.
Okay, I think maybe she lost the internet, network. So probably maybe yeah, we can wait for a few minutes. It's good if she can come back.
I can feel her because nowadays electricity always like got cut off in the afternoon here for my home.
Yeah, for sure, right? For sure. So now we are lacking, electricity, right? In the hot weather. Okay. Okay.
Hello, Lika. Sorry, my internet was disconnected.
Okay. Please continue.
Yes. Let's moving back. When the Mr. Kim has denounced the United States approach, they rejected the process and took the threatened pause toward the regional security. Even the China have agreed to the UNSC sanction in response to the second North Korean nuclear test. They also refused to coordinate with the other four states in pressuring to the North to return to the talk case up on prospect of security cooperation. When the North Korea was when the North Korea was found to have the Trump a South Korea ship on 26 March 2010. They confirmed by international investigative team led by the South Korea, and China refusal to acknowledge this even its host, the Kim Jong Il left the grave doubt about the strategic ambition. Move to the next slide, please. Yes. So next is about the new actor that they became known as the draw the increased intention like is the in India that inclusive in the Asian regionalism. In 2005, it was a part of the formation of the EAS that Japan sought its entry did as the key actor um, as well as in the ASEAN, and also in South Asia. They also noticed they also drawing into the Singapore as well. In Japan, their interest grew as seen in the July 2010 in 2+2 dialogue into in 2+2 dialogue as an example, address stretching on the security cooperation and build on recent talk on the civilian nuclear tie. This dialogue demonstrates that broad geographical range, Japan is seeking to ensure that China does not achieve regional hegemony and hegemony. In November 2010, Obama visit into India that was held as an opportunity to boost the bilateral relation with relevant for Asia, changing multilateralism. Last but not least, the new EAS would put the security into the forefront and guarantee an annual visit of the American president, beginning with the 2011 submitted in the Jakarta. With the five great power and the make of the actor, it would likely the overshadow of APEX as the plus three and also ALF as the second major international organization after the UNSC capable of addressing the most urgent challenge to the global security multilaterally. It would take the time in institutionalized that it would have to struggle again, revive effort to the strengthen inclusive regionalism by reflecting the China ambition. After the decade of concentrating on ASEAN plus 3 and then the new trilateral summit, the China had ample reason to strive to develop this organization. In 2005, they had a success in signing the responsibility of forcing an ASEAN community to ASEAN plus 3 rather than EAS with the enhanced cloud, notably economic power. China could be formidable force and exclusive region. This is the end of my part. Let's move to the conclusion.
Yes, so hello everyone, and thank you, Pachita, for giving me the floor. You guys can hear me, right? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Yes, so sorry. Yes. In conclusion, regionalism in East Asia encountered many challenges as we have known earlier, and especially struggling with three conflicting ideals that I'm gonna show you today that strongly affect the foreign relations, economic growth, and harmonized community among all participating countries. So for the first ideal, which is about economic integration, which aims to narrow the economic gap and give the large boost to all participating countries. It promotes mercantilism to three countries such as South Korea, Japan, and lately China. Furthermore, it proves exceptionally misleading, but finally support from the regional members. For economic integration within East Asia, it is known well entrenched, but maybe over-dependency on China, which its mercantilism depend heavily on the large amount of a state-owned enterprise, and not really contributed or subsidized to the regional integration. In a nutshell, it rarely subsidized to private ownership within its country and rumor about artificial exchange rate of its currency. Just for the recommendations, in order to tie up the closer cooperation, China should dramatically boost domestic consumption and emphasize export and technology transformations to all private industry as well. The second ideal, which is about creating or forging East Asian community, we primarily know that there is a lot of multilateral conference or discussion among them, such as East Asian Summit, ASEAN Plus 3, ASEAN Plus 6, East Asian Summit, and more. The purpose of this second ideal is to achieve the sense of regionalism to all members in both Northeast and Southeast Asia, and to eliminate the dominations or the hegemony of China into the whole East Asia, and to show the respect that bring Asia together and champion the value. The discussion somehow also engage with international external actors such as the US, Russia, India, and more. For example, like ASEAN Regional Forum, ARF, that was formed in order to broaden the partnership across continents, such as in terms of economy, politics, and socio-economic spectrum, such as engagement with the US, with many countries in both South and the Middle Asia. The third idea is about the proponent of regionalism. Regardless of their individual objectives that may impact to the balance of the power ideal within the region, this idea is to seek for countering Chinese ascendant into the region, as well as the engagement with the US to demonstrate its leadership in East and offers additional powers to small and medium states within the region. All in all, these three struggles have been placed in East Asia for a long time ago, since the first establishments of the regional organizations, and it is also right now in the ongoing process. that would be more critical in the future if China still bring aggressive role in the region, and also the US still play its leadership role as well in the security matter. And here is the end of my presentation, and thank you for your attentive participation.
Okay, thank you, group number 2, for your good presentation about East Asian regionalism. Okay, so now we'll give the floor to the audiences. If you have any question or you have any comments. Okay, audiences, you have any question or comments on what group 2 already presented? You can raise your hand. You click the raise hand bottom. So I will call your name and you can ask the question, or probably you can give the comments on some important points in the presentation. Any question?
Me, Cha.
Okay, go ahead, Maniran.
Yeah. So thank you, the group, for your fruitful presentation. So I heard you mention a lot about the U.S. involvement, like they play their leadership as well as they play their leadership in order to eliminate China hegemony in East Asia region. So I think it might be during the Barack Obama administration that time. So I just have one question: is that do you think that new administration of U.S. will practice the same as Barack Obama administration back then, that focused on pivot to East Asia? Yeah, this is my question. Like, do you catch up with it?
Group 2, have you got a Maniran question?
Like, okay, I want to clarify my question again. Like, do you think that new administration of US, like, they will put priority on East Asia strategy, or like they make some change about it?
Okay. Okay, group 2, do you want to answer Mani's question right now, or you need 1 minute to think?
Yes, please give us some time.
Okay, yeah, 1 minute. Okay, group number 2, please. Yeah, do you think that Joe Biden administration will focus on East Asian region and the same, Obama, administration did, right?
Hello, yes, hello, yes, I am Panya. I will respond to this question. Based on my own perspective, we think that, during Biden administration, he may shift to focus on East Asia better than the administration of Donald Trump. Maybe because Biden and Obama, both of them share the same similarities toward its American foreign policy, and also he want to tie up the relation uh, in the East Asian members such as China or Japan, because both of them are the most powerful country as well in Asia. So it may benefit US a lot if he ties the relations with them. Yes, and he also tried to track back again to the pivot to Asia that used to be implemented by Obama administration. Yes, in the future, this would be like that.
Okay. So what is Obama did, in the past, and what, is Joe Biden, right, is doing now in East Asia? Can you share us some, more insight into the matter? Thank you.
For as far as I know about Obama administration, he used to bilateral talk with China in order to enhance the trade agreement between US and China, and also the cooperation economically with Japan, and also he also tied the relation with Singapore in order to forge the trade, and also open the waterway in order to easily for US to navigate from the Asia into the US land. And also for Biden administration, I I don't know much about his plan to do it in the future,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess he would do the same thing as Obama, because during Obama administration, it is the very best period or best administration that a lot of people enjoy the prosperity and also economic benefits in terms of trade or their income or GDP, US GDP. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So actually, back to the Obama period, right? The Obama administration. So US, shift the strategic focus, from Middle East to, Asia Pacific, right? Including, East Asia. East Asia is a vast territory, right? In Asia, right? In Asia, and yeah, it's part of, Asia Pacific, right? It's Pacific. So they focus on, geopolitics, geopolitical and geoeconomic interests, in the region. Yeah, definitely, right? Joe Biden, right, is doing so. If you take a look at the, the some, political statement, or even, the security policy, right, of the new administration. So they're trying to, reduce, the influence, right, of China in the region. And I think in the last few months, in a few weeks, no, a few months, right? US also send the the air carrier, right? The ship, along, the South China Sea, right? So it signifies, is to show that, US, still maintain a position, right, in the South China Sea, to maintain to guarantee that, there is a free and open, Indo-Pacific, right, along the South China Sea and also the Indian Ocean. And Barack Obama, yeah, Obama administration and Biden administration also focus on, the liberal, right, international order. So Biden, return, right, to liberal, right, international order, after Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump is a little bit, away from the liberal international order. So normally when we talk about the liberal international order, we focus on, 4 important points. First, the multilateralism, right? That's important, right? That's important, for American interests. So now the US is, coming back to the, multipolar, platform, right? The polar platform, multilateral platform, involving with ASEAN and also trying to engage with, other Mekong region, right? Again, the Lanchang Mekong initiative, right, of China. And, UN also back to the table, right, at the United Nations, trying to discuss, the any measure, should be taken, right, to deal with, the regional and international system, right, international, security issue, or, many other, prevalent, pressing issue, right, in the international politics. So multilateralism is very important, right? Very, very important, in the liberal international order created and shaped by the Western power, right, including the United States. The second component, right, the second component is the security alliance. So the United States, you're trying to, promote or, enhance or reinforce the security alliances, with between, China and the other countries. So therefore, many other countries, the Japan, also South Korea, and also Thailand, the Philippines, now become, the including Australia become, important, security ally of the United States, right? To counter, to contain, the China, right? To contain China. And the UN itself also trying to promote the, strategic and security partnership, with many other countries, including, Indonesia, Brunei, Singapore, right? And many other countries in the East Asia. And the third component of the liberal international order is economic openness. Yeah, open economy, right? Trade that, US can, import, export, right, the product and sell the product, in the East Asia, trying to promote American, economic growth, right? Economic growth. And the last component, right, of the American, liberal international order is democratic consolidation, right? And they promote, democracy. They promote, the democratic, political system, right, in the region, right? So together, right, you can see, right, how Joe Biden, is returning, right, to, the, the old, American, right, the existing, American liberal international order, right? So the same, like Obama administration did, before Trump administration, right? Okay, we can talk more, right, when we go to a different, issue, a different theme, in the later chapter, right? We can focus on, how, Biden, right, is going to do, right? Is doing, right? And will do, right, in the future, right? Okay, any other question for group number 2, everyone? Okay, so group number 2, I have one observation. So why they include, Hong Kong and Taiwan as the member, right, of the APEC? What do you think? So why not they just mention, China, right? Because Taiwan and Hong Kong, are part of China. So why they separate, Hong Kong and China and Taiwan, right? From China, and regard them as the member of the APEC. What do you think? Group 2, you want to answer the question now, or you need 1 minute to think?
Give us some time. I'm rechecking.
Okay, please, 1 minute.
Excuse me, like, can you repeat the question again?
So if you take a look at the membership of the APEC, right? APEC. So there are 21 members, right? So
Yes.
why they put Taiwan and Hong Kong as members separated from mainland China? What do you think?
Oh yes, thank you. Like,
You're welcome.
Hello, Lex. Can you hear my voice?
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm
So
here.
I guess the reason why the two, Taiwan and Hong Kong, was included in APEC as two different entity from China is because APEC is more focused on economic cooperation, and the characteristic of the two, what's make them under China is just the political aspect. They are not recognized, and most of all, the military and staff are under the Chinese government. However, as for economic sector, they economic and their system, they are different from China, and the two are the two the two of the four Asia, what we call Asian tiger, and the system of the two are different. Like they are more like democratic and more into liberalization and stuff. So I guess those are the reason. Do I answer to your question?
Yes. Yep. You are. Okay. You're right. You are right. So mostly APEC is more about economic cooperation, right, among member state, right, member state. But actually, within the APEC, we don't call member state, right? We call member economy, because China really mind the wording, right, used in the APEC, right, in the APEC. So they are not member states, they are member economy, right, member economy. In ASEAN we call member state, right? In APEC we call member economies, because Taiwan and Hong Kong, right, are not regarded as the sovereign state, right, as the member, right, of the APEC. In addition, in addition, they use the term, right? They use the word Hong Kong, China, right? Hong Kong, China, not Hong Kong alone, right? Hong Kong, China. So they have to attach to Hong Kong, right? Yeah, to means that Hong Kong belong to China. After Britain, right, give Hong Kong to China, right? And even Taiwan, we don't call Taiwan, right? In the APEC, we call Chinese Taipei, right? Yeah, Taipei. Taipei is the city, right? The capital city of Taiwan, right? Yeah, Chinese Taipei, right? Taipei. So they believe that Taiwan, right, is also part of you know uh, uh, mainland China. And why they include Hong Kong and Taiwan inside the APEC, we can trace back to the past, right? So when Australia initiate the APEC, right? Previously the only 12 member, that but they extended to the others. And Hong Kong and Taiwan, right, are the Asian tigers. So they are the emerging market with, I think, tremendous economic growth, right, in the 1980s until the end of Cold War, right? So I think they decided to do so, right, because they can gain a lot of benefit from economic cooperation with Hong Kong and with Taiwan, right, Taiwan. But in within the APEC, right? So the wording is so important, right, for mainland China, right? So even many other countries trying to use the term Taiwan, right? That jeopardize economic interest with mainland China. So they want to put it, right, as the platform for only regional economic cooperation, right, rather than political and security cooperation. So for political and security issue, they go to the other platform, yeah, particularly the ASEAN Regional Forum, the East Asian Forum, right, East Asia Summit, or they discuss within the ASEAN a meeting. Probably they can, right, do that, right, at the ADM plus, particularly, right, ADM plus, and also some meeting, right, some forum, right, including the Shangri-La dialogue, right, in Singapore, right. So this is the platform. These are the platform for promoting confidence, promoting confidence, and also discussing, for discussing political and security issue, right, security issue. Okay, so among the 21 member economies of APEC, so why not some other ASEAN country not be part of the APEC? Why? Why not they are not member economy of APEC? Group 2, what do you think?
Can I have your question again?
So if we take a look at the 21 member economies of the APEC, Thailand, Vietnam, Singapore, and a few other countries, are the members of the APEC, right? So why not other member, right? Such as Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, why don't they want to become a member of APEC? So what are the reasons?
Let us have a minute to discuss.
Okay, please. Group 2, please.
We're trying to reach a common answer.
Okay.
Hello, lecturer.
Okay, please.
Yeah, so the reason why the other countries such as Cambodia, Laos, or Myanmar could not be the member economy of the APEC because this country, they are under developing country and they does not have the category to become a member of APEC, and member of APEC should be the country with the busy trading and the high rapid economic growth.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think that's all.
Yes, you are right. So, you know, for, you know, some other country in, you know, Southeast Asia, the ASEAN member states, so they are not ready, you know, to be a member of the APEC, right? So given, you know, our scale of economic scale and, you know, the growth rate, right, of our economy, right? Yeah, therefore, I think, you know, therefore, you know, they trying to include, you know, some country that can, you know, liberate the economy, you know, they can promote the economic growth, you know, within, you know, the APEC economy, right? APEC member states, yeah, member economies. Yeah, I think for Vietnam is, you know, growing so fast, so we're catching up, you know, some, you know, certain degree, right, economic growth. Yeah, they have very, you know, big economic per capita, right? Yeah, therefore, I think Vietnam is, yeah, is a de facto, right? I think middle power, you know, in Southeast Asia, is moving away from CLMV, right? Yeah, Cambodia, you know, Vietnam, you know, Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar are still, you know, living in the, you know, quite, you know, developmental state, right? I think a little bit low, right? Developmental state, so we need more time to grow, right? To grow. Yeah, Cambodia, you know, now is you know you know you know you know signing, right, many FTA, right? FTA, yeah, free trade agreements, you know, with the ASEAN members, you know, regional companies economic partnership, right? Yeah, ASEAN and, you know, the dialogue partner, right? We also signed the FTA with, you know, China and also South Korea. So meaning that we give away, you know, a lot of tariff. We lost a lot of money, right? As import tariff, right? Import tariff. I think the value, right, of the tariff that we lost, you know, according to the FTA, right? I think it's more than, right, more than 100 billion US dollar. That's so many money, right? A lot of money. ចឹងអាលុយដែលយើងបាត់ពីចំណូល right ចំណូលដែលយើងធ្វើ FTA ហ្នឹងគឺ I think 100 million or 100 billion, right? I think maybe 100 million, right? I'm not sure about that, right? ខ្ញុំគាត់ឃើញអត្រាហ្នឹងបែរខ្ទង់ប្រហែលជា100ជាង100ជាង million, right? And US dollar ចឹងយើងបាត់បង់ថវិកាច្រើនតែនតាមរយៈការកាត់បន្ថយអាពន្ធនាំចូលពីខាងក្រៅ so I think so we are not ready, right, to open, right, a wider market, you know, for the other country, yeah, particularly, you know, the 21 members, you know, of the APEC, right? That's so huge, right? So they're very competitive, right? Competitive. They have a lot of economic power, right, in the region. So how can we do that, right? How can we achieve, you know, our economic growth while, you know, given the fact that we have, you know, a narrow range of exported product, right? យើង export តិចមែនតើពីជាងគឺជា commodity ហើយជា you know, the rice, the agricultural products, so we cannot compete, right, with the other power, right? The other economic, powers, getting, to Cambodia market, right? So can, harm, right, our local producer, right? Producers. So in conclusion, we are not ready, right, to be a member, right, of the APEC, right? So probably we need more time, to make our economy resilient, right, and robust, after the COVID-19, right? Okay, so yeah, definitely, right. I think group 1 or group 2 already, pointing out, some attempt, to create the East Asian regionalism. So Japan also want to create one, but want to create one, right? Particularly in the 1970s and 1980, when Japan achieved the economic miracle. So he make a lot of profit from the international market, right? And he also leave many other countries in Asia to be the Asian tiger, right? As the important emerging market in the region, including Hong Kong, Taiwan, South Korea, and also Singapore, right? As the Asian tiger, the emerging market in Southeast Asia, in Asia, right? Asia, and also give a lot of economic benefit, to many other countries in the region, right? In the region, according to the flying geese pattern, right? Some production chain, right? In many other countries, you're promoting the regional, right? Economic cooperation and economic, grow, right? Economic growth. Japan attempt to create, a regional grouping, but China and South Korea, did not, want to accept, right, the initiative of Japan, because they believe that, Japan have bad intention. Yeah, Japan they want to go back, to the to the before, right, before the end of Second World War, right? Japan want to rearm, remilitarize as the great power in the region. So the neighbors, did not trust, Japan at all, right? At all. So they still believe that Japan want to colonize, they want to occupy, China, South Korea, and the rest of Southeast Asia, right? Southeast Asia. I think even ASEAN also do not trust Japan, right? Back until 1970, when Prime Minister of Japan, right, Fukuda Takeo, visited South Asia, particularly Indonesia, right? So they're trying to promote the ASEAN, Japan, cooperation, right? Relationship. So until in the 1980 and 1990, and finally after the end of Cold War, so they try they promote the strategic and economic and political and security, right? Relation, right, with Japan, right? Japan. Korea also attempt to create the East Asian regionalism, right? But it failed to do so because of the the rejection, right, of the China and Japan, right? Japan. I think you believe you may trace back to I think several years ago when the female president, right, of South Korea want to create NAPC, right? NAPC, NAPCI, right? This is something about Northeast Asia, political security cooperation, right? It's a framework, in Northeast Asia, but they do not trust North Korea, right? North Korea, yeah, particularly Japan, right? Regarding the comfort women, right? They have a very severe, historical, animosity, right? And some antagonism, right? In the past, and Japan also, China also did not trust South Korea at all, right? Regarding how it can lead, right, the regional grouping, right, regionalism, right? So this is a matter of leadership, right? Leadership. They're competing, right, to be number one, right, in the region. Therefore, they give the role to the ASEAN, particularly in the 1997, when financial crisis hit, right, the region, right? It started from Thailand and affect many other countries, including South Korea, right, in the past. So ASEAN approach IMF for assistance, right? But they have many complicated procedure, right? Even World Bank did not provide any loan to the ASEAN member, right? Because they demand some other ASEAN members to restructure, right? The economic policy, right? The structural reform, right? In economy. So yeah, finally, they have no choice to approach Japan and China, for assistance, right? Because these two countries have a lot of financial reserve, right? គាត់មានអាលុយបំកច្រើនណាគឺជួយទៅធ្វើឲ្យASEAN looking at the China and Japan, right? As the economic partner, right? Particularly seeing the financial crisis. So finally they have some diplomatic talk, some meeting, right? Some visit to South Korea, to Japan, and also to China. So yeah, I think they want to create ASEAN, right, plus Japan, right? But they cannot do that, right? And they also want to create ASEAN plus China. So finally they do not want to jeopardize their political and economic relation, right, with each of power, right, in Northeast Asia, in East Asia, right? So finally they group they try to come together, right, as ASEAN plus Japan, South Korea and China become ASEAN plus 3, right? And it came into effect, in December, right, 1997, right? To talk about to talk more about economic cooperation, especially in financial term, right? Something about swap, right? Currency swap, how to prevent the region from facing, right, another new financial crisis in Asia, right? In Asia. So currently, the currency swap, right, is important, right, for not only ASEAN but also the other member states, right, in the East Asia. So the competition is still going on. I think quite many years. I think two already mentioned, right? That for ASEAN, need to create the other platform that they can talk about political and security issue, right? So become ASEAN plus 1, right? ASEAN plus China, ASEAN plus Japan, ASEAN plus South Korea, right? And later on, we ASEAN also have a lot of dialogue partner, right? Plus the US, plus Australia, plus India, right? And so on and so forth. So this is how ASEAN, right? ASEAN member, in institutionalize the region, right? The region, from time to time, right? From time to time. So we will talk more about ASEAN plus 3 in week number 10. And we will talk more about APEC, right, in week number 11, right, in more detail, right, more detail. Okay, so I think that's enough for our discussion today. It's already more than 2 hours. But if you have any question or you have any comment, we can talk more, right? យើងមានសំណួរក៏យើងមានមតិអីដើម្បី share before we end our session today. ហើយនឹងយើងនឹងនិយាយបន្តទៀតតាក់ទងជាមួយនឹងពីតំបន់ហ្នឹងហើយពី regionalism ហើយ in week number 10 and week number 11. Okay, you have any comments or you have any questions?
No, sir.
I have one, sir.
Okay, so
Teacher.
Okay, please. Ravin.
Could you explain a bit about trilateral summit again? Just a bit.
China summit.
Trilateral summit.
Okay, so this is about way that they can talk, they can discuss how to deal with political and security issue, right? So they want to create their own regionalism, East Asian regionalism ហើយគាត់ចង់បង្កើតជាក្រុមរបស់គាត់មួយណាទាំង3ប្រទេសហ្នឹងគឺពិបាកមែនតើហ្នឹងគឺពិបាកដូចចូលរាវក្នុងទឹកចឹង Yeah, therefore the former president of Korea called their phenomenon as Asian paradox, right? Have you ever heard the term Asian paradox? គឺជា paradox មួយright paradox មួយជាមានន័យថាគាត់ stack ស្ទើរ right ឧទាហរណ៍ដូចជា in economic term they can work with one another, they can cooperate with one another, they depend on each other market, they are economically interdependent. However, in political security term, they do not work well with one another at all, right? So they competed, right? They concern about security, they fight each other, right? Regarding the boundary, right? Regarding they defend, right? Their position, right? Their position, particularly Korea and China, right? They accuse Japan, right? As the one who promote the comfort women, who created the comfort women, who humiliate the Chinese and Korean women, right, in the past, right? So now comfort women become politicized, right? Politicized issue, right? It's not political issue alone, right? It's politicized issue. The issue that can be politicized, right? I think in generation, right? In all generation, either old and or new, right? Or new. So they keep blaming Japan, right? As the one who create a war, as the one who humiliate, who violate the human rights, who trying to kill, right? The civilian, right? Who trying to put down the value of the women, right? In the past, right? So therefore, I think that's a paradox, right? The paradox in Northeast Asia, right? Northeast Asia. So trilateral summit, cannot work well, right? Always, come to an end, right? Without any fruitful result, right? Result. ច្រើនមែនតើidea ច្រើនមែនតើគឺចិត្តតែនិយាយណាតាក់ទងជាមួយនឹងអា3ប្រទេសហ្នឹងតើគួរធ្វើយ៉ាងម៉េចអញ្ចឹងសូម្បីតែ scholar មួយចំនួន they have no clue, right? What they are going to do, right? In order to deal with the Asian paradox, right? How can they work with one another? How can they apply neo-functionalism, right? There's something about spillover effect. State cooperate with one another, right? In terms of economy, how can they promote their political and security cooperation, right? អាហ្នឹងវាធ្វើឲ្យហួតហើយវាធ្វើឲ្យហួតអញ្ចឹងវាទៅស្ទាក់ដាក់កន្លែងរឿងសេដ្ឋកិច្ចគឺធ្វើបានហើយធ្វើបាន work នឹងក៏រស់ស៊ីជាមួយគ្នាបានតែរឿងនយោបាយជាមួយរឿងសន្តិសុខគឺ they competing, right? They competing, so they do not get along, right, with one another, right? I think that's the Asian paradox, right? Okay, so we will talk more, right, when we go back to the topic, right, in week number 10. So we will talk more about the ASEAN plus 3, right, in monetary, right? Monetaries. Okay, I think now I think maybe some of you are feeling hungry. So already 7:30, 7:37, right? 37. And today, is the day right before the the new year, right? So I have nothing to give you, right, on the new year, how only visits. So I wish you guys success, right? In your study, your work, and your life.
Thank you, Chair. You can
Yeah,
have my
if you are
account, Chair.
If you are forever alone, so on this new year you can find be a girlfriend or boyfriend, right?
Chair, now can find, Chair, on confession page, Chair, you can find.
Okay, just kidding, right? Just kidding, right? គ្នាយើងខ្លះទៀតគឺថា forever alone, right? Forever alone ជាខ្លះហ្នឹង yeah, maybe we stay alone, right, for a whole lifetime, right? So on the new year you find your crush, you find your someone who can understand, right, your mind, right, who can understand your heart, right? Okay, so everyone, yeah, please continue to stay safe and enjoy your long holidays next week.
Thank you, Chair.
And hope to see you again with good health, after New Year, right? So don't go anywhere, just stay at home and be safe. Okay, goodbye everyone and enjoy your evening.
Yes, Chair.
Goodbye, Chair. Stay safe.
Stay safe. Happy New